I'm almost where I need to be. I'm gonna give you 5 ways to get a grip on your marriage. Married folks, make some noise in here. I'm gonna give you 5 ways to get a grip on your marriage before it slips, or if it's slipping right now. If it has slipped completely off the radar scale. You know, there were some slaves that jumped the boat. They just jumped the boat. There were others that got tossed. Some people, maybe you're about to jump the boat. Before you jump off that boat and say, look, I'd rather drown in the ocean than go any further with you. Isn't that a hot metaphor? Doesn't it just fit so good? I said, hey, it's so good. Look, I'm going to give you 5 ways to get a grip on your marriage. And it may be the hand that catches you even when you're drowning right now. If you're drowning right now and you're going down for the count, the first thing I'd do is give you a hand, and the hand would have 5 points. And I'm going to give you 5 points to catch a drowning marriage. Next week. I'm teasing. Can I go further? You think we got time to go a little bit further? If we save one marriage, it'd be worth it all, wouldn't it? Yeah. Save one kid from going to another level of dysfunction. Number 1, I want to talk to you about the art of knowing. The art of knowing. The art of knowing. The art of knowing. The Bible says that the man dwells with the woman according to knowledge. Knowledge, the art of knowing. Not assumptions. Knowing. In order to know who you're married to, there has to be an ongoing interchange between you, and they have to be important enough for you to watch them. This knowing there are 2 different words that are used in the New Testament for knowing. One of them means knowledge, to have acquired knowledge, and the other one is progressive knowledge. It means an ongoing development of knowledge. The type of knowing that I'm suggesting that you need in a relationship is an ongoing knowing that you are forever a student of the person you love. Forever a student of the person you love. The very fact, you don't have to be a professor. You don't have to be a professor, forever a student. The very fact that you're a student says you're still interested in me. But when you think you're a professor in loving me and you walk away, it reads out to me that you are no longer interested. So the Bible says, dwell with her according to knowledge. You'll be able to stay as you continue to know. Okay? Now, for the person who needs to be studied and needs to be watched, which is all of us at different times, it kind of helps if you make yourself a little interesting. How many of you have ever studied paint drying on the wall? The art of knowing means that you have to make a conscious investment in being a student of that other person. I didn't say an investigator. I didn't say a 007 snoop. I didn't say a private investigator who's going through their phone and going through their mail. What is this about? What's going on? No. Study me. And then you won't have to watch this. The art of knowing. You dwell with them according to knowledge. This is why the Bible encourages the first year to be a development year, learning foundation, and then building on that foundation, and periodically understand that you have to amend the Constitution. And you have to sit down and talk and get to know them again. In order to get to know them again, you got to date them again. And in order to date them, as I define dateness, it's not the cutesy, hotsy-totsy stuff where we pretend to be something that we're not for 3 hours in the evening and go back home. But let's get down to the bricks and the rocks and the mortar of getting engaged in life together and connecting with each other. The art of knowing means we have to periodically go through the whole romance process again and find out, who are you now? Who are you now? Where are you now? My famous all-time line, my wife will tell you this right now, is, what do you mean by that? Don't say nothing to me if you don't want me to say that, because when I ask you that, I want to be sure that I understand what you said. And I'm going to get into that a little bit deeper, because just because you said the same words doesn't mean that you meant the same thing. Number two, that's the art of listening. The art of listening. We spend a lot of times telling you to communicate. I'm telling you, communication is not as important as listening. In fact, most of the couples I counsel, everybody's talking, nobody's listening. In fact, you can bring them in your office and set them down, and she's talking. She comes in and she goes to talk. The reason I call this meeting, generally the woman has the most nerves. She brings it up first. The reason we call this meeting with you, Pastor, is because I just didn't know what else to do. I'm just sick of him. I'm sick. And he's curled over and he didn't want to come no way, okay? And so then when you finally get him to talk, generally, and he starts talking, well, I wouldn't be like that if she went, and all the while she talks, well, the way, and after a while, once you get them going real good, they're just waiting on each other to take a breath so they can get the next punch in. And pretty soon in your office, you're seeing a reenactment of what goes on in the house every day. Everybody's talking and nobody's. I pray God would anoint your ears to hear, not your outer ear, your inner ear, and that your inner ear would have the humility to say, what do you mean by that? Not to assume that what you heard is what she said. In fact, I've gotten so bad about that statement now that in a business meeting, I'll stop in the middle of a business meeting and they'll make a presentation. I'll say, wait a minute, let me tell you what I heard and you tell me if that's what you meant. Because this business about listening and get it right, it's not easy. There's an art to listening. And I bet you can go to DBU, you can go to SMU, you can go to TCU, all the alphabets you want to go to. There's not one class on listening. I bet you didn't take it in high school either. I bet you didn't take it in elementary school, and yet everything you learn is based on your ability to listen. Are you listening at what I say? Are you listening at my nonverbal communication? Because many men communicate nonverbally. Some women also communicate nonverbally. So when I'm talking about listening, this is not just a word game. It's also learning my method of communication so we can row together in this boat effectively. You've got to develop the art of listening. And you can catch a falling marriage if you can listen. Because generally, people leave each other for simple stuff. Simple stuff. They generally leave each other for stuff the other person could have provided. It's not the great big stuff, the calculus of marriage. It's the little simple things that either make it or break it. The difference between happiness and hell is little things. A family that's going through hell could be a happy place. They're miserable over little things. What are the little things that you are getting wrong, and are you willing to change them? You might not fix all of them, just fix enough of them that you can get Fred on the boat and y'all can get back together again, and he can do some fixing and you can do some fixing, because it's not going to be one-sided fixing. I can hear somebody right now. They're saying, yes, get them, Jakes, get them. Oh, that's right. They're going to be in the car saying, that's right. If you just listen to me, that's right. Shut up! I'm not just talking to her. I'm talking to you. Just because somebody talks soft doesn't mean they're not serious. Just because he talks soft doesn't mean he's not serious. Most of the time we're too busy to listen. And if you don't listen, you're going to lose. And then you're going to pay all of these professionals to come in and help you listen. You're going to pay a counselor so much money an hour to tell you what she said. And you're going to sit there with the wife that you've been with for years, and somebody who just met them is going to say, what she's saying is... And if you don't listen to the counselor because you storm out of there, we're not going back to counseling. Then you're going to end up with a lawyer who's going to say, now what he's saying is, and you're going to get this much, and all of them are going to bill you. They're going to make money off of you because you will not listen. Money you could have spent in the Bahamas, money you could have gone to South Africa with, money you could have spent a week in Hawaii with, you're going to spend all kind of money dividing up stuff you worked all your life to get because you won't. Number 3, the art of waiting. The art of waiting. Everybody wants everything now. They won't wait. The art of waiting. You're not going to bond together the first 6 months. You're not going to get the cleaving right even the first year. It takes some time for you to leave the historicity of your mother and father and cleave and become one flesh. You're going to go through some name changes, and you're going to go through some frustration because you're still leaving and cleaving, and it's a process before your mother finally gets out of your head and your father finally gets out of your head, and you start developing a new culture and a new philosophy that your kids one day will have to grow up and leave and cleave. The art of waiting. Jesus, as busy as he was, sat by the well all day waiting on one woman to come down to the well. He knew she would get there, and he waited. There are some men in this room. There are some men in this room who are waiting for you, sister, at the well. He's waiting. A waiting man is a man who hasn't given up. When a man waits, it just means that he hasn't given up. Brother, there's a waiting woman. She said, here she is. Oh, I could really go there with that. I will stay right here. Woo. There's so much to be said. There's a waiting woman waiting on you to grow up. If we take a skin graft and we take a piece of skin from here and we put it on a wound right here because we're all wounded, it takes a while. No matter how good the skin is, it takes a while for the skin to graft. If you're not willing to wait, you're going to mess the wound up and have to go back to the beginning and meet somebody new and start all over again. And you're going to end up at the same place. I know you don't believe it. I know you don't hear me. I know you think I'm stupid, but you are going to end up at the same place with the second wife that you ended up with the first wife. If you don't fix what's wrong with you, it is going to happen again. 50%, 64, 74% is going to happen. We happy now. You and her were happy at first. You're always happy at first. Why you think you get married? Everybody's happy at first. If your husband is waiting on you, if he's waiting on you, if he's fighting off the others, I feel you, man. I feel you. I got your back, dog. I'm coming with it. I'm coming. Hold on. I'm coming. If he's fighting off women who want to do what you won't do, and that's more than sex. That can be kindness. That can be time. It can be sex too. How about that? Somebody say sex. It can be sex. He's waiting on you. Are you making him wait longer than necessary because you're distracted into your own things? And eventually what happens to men, I know men, I've been a man all my life. Eventually, he gives up on waiting. And then you call him a dog. But all of them were not dogs at first. They just got tired. Oh, wait, it's one thing to wait on somebody who's getting ready. You know how you be waiting on your wife and she's getting ready? And my wife will say in a minute for a half hour. But I can deal with that as long as I see it coming. It's coming. It's not there yet, but it's coming. So what I do, this is how I do this, guys. I jingle my keys, just to remind her that I'm waiting. I don't mind waiting as long as it's coming. What becomes difficult is when you're waiting and you see no change. Because if I see you hurrying, at least I know that you're conscious that you're making me wait is putting me in a strain. And the consciousness of it is encouraging. But when you act oblivious to it, like sometimes I see people in the second service who just got out the car at 11:15 and they're walking across the street like this. I think, baby, why? What? Pick up the pace. And you that are waiting, don't give up. You got too much invested. Too many tears, too many years, too many kids, too much time. And some of y'all, I don't know, it's hard to encourage you. You ain't been married long enough to be tired. You tired? You've been married 2 years and wore out. Come on, baby, what's the matter? These folks now, the art of waiting. Number 4, the art of forgiving. The art of forgiving. You will never sustain a lifelong love without forgiveness. He's gonna blow it. He's gonna blow it and say the wrong, dumb thing at the wrong time. And not even know that it was a dumb thing. And say it over again and again, and not even know that he is ticking you off every time he says it. She's going to be busy giving you what you used to need, not knowing that you are not who you were. And if you don't forgive her for being what used to be a good wife, you'll never see the good wife that she could be now. I was on the Dr. Phil show and they were talking about the governor from New York and what went on with him, and they were talking about his wife standing by him, and they were all going off about it and going off. I said, please, we don't get to tell her whether she should forgive him or not. You don't know anything about what makes that marriage work, the chemistry of that relationship. What has he forgiven about her? What drives two people together? How they fit together like a key in a lock is nobody's business. We don't get, just because we're the viewer, to participate in the marital process of people coming together. There is not a married person in this room that's been married a considerable amount of time who hasn't had to forgive each other to stay together. And if you don't develop the art of forgiveness, and some of you have never developed the art of forgiveness because your mother didn't demonstrate it or your father didn't demonstrate it, and you have no point of reference that is not in your culture, and if you don't get in your Bible, you're not going to find it. And I dare you to pray the Lord's Prayer and dare you to stand and pray, forgive me of my trespasses as I forgive those who trespass against me. If God forgave you like you forgave him, would you be saved or would you be going to hell right now? I don't understand how you can get down on your knees and ask God for forgiveness and believe that he forgive you for your improprieties and your mistakes, and yet when you get a chance to operate in that forgiveness, you have no forgiveness for me, and you say it's because you're holy? I say it's because you're hellish. You can't be an unforgiving Christian. It's an oxymoron. Christians are forgiven. How can you be an unforgiving? Woo, I got one more. This is the toughest one. Number 5, the art of openness. I almost didn't include this one. What inspired me to include this one is that they were doing a test on my back, and they were testing the nerves in my spine. And it's a test where they stick these needles in your spine, and they stick them in the muscles in your legs and everything. And they stuck the needles in, and every time they stuck a needle in me, it drew blood. I was bleeding on the table. And every time he stuck me, I flinched. So after a while, before he stuck me, I didn't have to flinch. I was already there. I thought, since I know this is going to hurt anyway, I might as well just stay flinched. And suddenly I began to realize that's what happens in a marriage. After you've been hurt, you just stay flinched. And the hardest thing in the world to do when you've been hurt is to be open again. The art of openness is to open your soul after it's been hurt. Your propensity, your natural survival instincts will lock you up into a state of self-protectedness to keep it from hurting again. And so you're not open. And the very fact that you're not open is killing your relationship. You will not be open without effort. You have to focus on getting yourself. Open your heart up. Connect with this moment. You are here. Let your feelings out. No, this is serious. It is hard to stay open for 30 years. Open. And if you don't stay open, you won't be fulfilled, because they will be loving your shell and not loving you. And there's an art to openness. Help me to open. Even God won't put his word in you until you open your heart. The whole purpose of the worship service is to open your heart, to get you into a place of openness, so that when you open up, he can plant his word in your heart. And there's somebody, just because you're married and you got rings on your finger doesn't mean that you're still open. Open means to be present in the moment, connected. I'm here. I'm with you. I'm vibing. I'm feeling the bubbles from the jacuzzi hitting me in the back. I'm with you, dog. It doesn't matter what you have. You can be open over a fried pie from McDonald's. This is not about wealth. This is about being present in the moment. Whether you're eating pinto beans and cornbread and sliced onion, our grandparents did better in the Depression with their marriages than we're doing with getting your hair done and your nails done and all of this. You still ain't got nobody. Grandma's head was nappy and she had a man. The whole house smelling like bergamot. Your grandmother's head was forever in a bun. They'd have took that bun down and something would have come out there and bite you up in the bun. And she had somebody. You change your hair every week and you're losing. Grandpa didn't take grandma out on a date nowhere, but they stayed together for years and years and years. What are we missing? We're closing up. We're flinching. Some of you got married like this because you were abused when you got married. You were molested when you got married. You were wounded when you got married. Some of you didn't get hurt till you got married, and you've been betrayed and you've been hurt, and you started flinching and relaxing and flinching and relaxing. And when you're at the flinching and relaxing stage, the marriage is good sometimes and it's bad sometimes. And sometimes you're loving and sometimes you're fighting, and you're flinching and relaxing. And after a while, you're going to make a decision for one or the other, either to open up all the time or to tighten up all the time. And that will determine whether you make it or not. It is the art of openness. Nobody can fuss you into doing it. Nobody can seduce you into doing it. Nobody can trick you into doing it. This is something you have to do for yourself. do you have the courage to open up again, to love again, to feel again, to engage again? Without it, you can have sex and not be engaged, intercourse and not be engaged, physically connected but not there. You're not happy because you're not open. The whole impact of what sex is supposed to mean is that there's nothing between me and you. Nothing between us. But if I close up, there's something between us, or somebody, or some stuff, or something you won't forgive, or something you won't forget. And we don't have intimacy because you can't see into me, because I'm still flinched from the last time. And you cannot keep saying, I'm going to stay flinched until you prove yourself, because then you give the power to the other person. It's an endless cycle. He'll never be able to prove it. You can never prove yourself to somebody. This is something that you consciously, willingly have to decide. I'm going to open up, and I am going to live again, and breathe again, and love again, and touch again, and feel again, and laugh again, and study you again, and listen to you again, and date you again, and feel you again. And I'm going to make myself do it. Fellas, it means that you're going to lay down in the bed at night and consciously focus on, I am going to connect to the one I'm connected to. Because if you don't, you will connect somewhere else and avoid connecting where you belong. It is a forced effort to open up again. And yes, I might get hurt, and I may go through things, but at least I'm alive. I'm tired of living like a mannequin and walking around like a mummy. I want to feel again, laugh again, love again, smile again, and even cry again, but at least I'm alive again. The enemy comes to kill and to steal and to destroy, but I want my marriage back, and I'm going to be open again.